Hello students, and welcome back to Chemistry A. I'm Ms. Sleight, and today we're going to be talking about how to draw Lewis dot structures for ionic compounds. So first off, let's look at just the basic dot structures for two elements that we know form an ionic compound. Sodium has just one valence electron, one dot on its Lewis structure. Chlorine has 7 valence electrons, so it has 7 dots. Now we know that sodium is going to end up losing an electron and chlorine is going to gain one. During the formation of an ionic crystal, a metal will lose its electrons to the nonmetal atom. So how do we represent the dot structure now after this exchange of electrons has occurred? Well, for sodium, because it has lost its one electron, we draw it with no dots around it, and we put it in brackets. Brackets are just the way that we signify that this is a dot structure for an ion, and we add its charge, positive 1. Likewise with chlorine, since it's gained an electron, we now draw it with 8 dots around it, and we put it in brackets to signify that it's an ion, and put its charge outside the bracket. It's a negative 1. Remember, the charge of the cation represents the number of valence electrons that it has lost, while the charge of the anion represents the number of valence electrons that was gained. So let's look at one more example. Let's look at magnesium fluoride. Magnesium fluoride has the chemical formula MgF. So if we want to make the Lewis structure for its ions, it's easiest to start by just making the Lewis structure for the neutral elements. So if you look at magnesium, it's going to have 2 valence electrons. So a neutral magnesium atom's Lewis dot structure would have 2 dots. Likewise, fluorine has 7 valence electrons and 7 dots. I drew 2 of them because our chemical formula indicates that there will be 2 fluorine ions. Now, our metal magnesium is going to lose both of its electrons. One will go to one fluorine and the other will go to the other fluorine. So when we make the Lewis dot structure for the ionic compound, we show magnesium with no dots. It lost 2 electrons, so it has a positive 2 charge. We show both of our fluorines now with 8 dots because they each gained 1 electron. And since they each gained 1 electron, they have a charge of negative 1 each, respectively. Remember, when you are making the Lewis dot structures for ionic compounds, the cation should never have any dots around it. The anion should always have 8 dots. From there, you just have to figure out how many was lost or gained to figure out their charge. And make sure you always have the same number of each ion as is represented in the chemical formula. For example, magnesium fluoride, we drew 2 fluorides because its formula is MgF2. And that's all there is to making the Lewis dot structures for ionic compounds. I hope you have a great rest of your day.